So what is up, guys? It's Pask here once again, and today I am about to go through the heel flip. So I've had two requests, one about the heel flip, do a tutorial about heel flip. The other one say do a tutorial about Nollie heel flip. So you know what? I'm doing both together so that you can get the overall look when we talk about heel flip. Of course, there is fakey heel flip and switch heel flip too, but basically, if you manage a great, if you manage to land a great heel flip and a great Nollie heel flip, switch and fakey more or less should be kind of the same. First thing, I want to talk about, of course, the heel flip. Heel flip is the outward rotation of the deck on its horizontal axis. So this is the heel flip. Basically it's the opposite rotation of the kick flip. So this is the heel flip. Talking about the motion, as I said, is the same thing as the kick flip, but the opposite of the rotation. So instead of doing this, the deck will do the opposite. So this kind of rotation. So the fingers positioning. Honestly, when it comes to fingers positioning, it's kind of hard to tell because everybody from time to time finds its own way to position the fingers on the deck. But if you want my recommendation, what works best for me is this actual position. Like I put both fingers, my middle finger and my index finger actually in the middle of the deck, as you can see, and not too much out, not too much in, just this way. Maybe just the middle finger a little bit, more on the inside part of the deck. And this has a reason, because when you do heel flip, and whether it is heel flip, Nollie heel flip, switch heel flip, you want to focus on the rotation, but at the same time you have to pop, right? So so positioning the finger, the middle finger, and so the finger that has to pop more on the inside, so that it's more closer, that it's closer to you, helps when it comes to pop. Because if the fingers it's in here, you need to hide the deck till this place to have a nice pop. While if it is in here, you can kind of, instead of doing this, you can kind of cheat and do something like this. And so you will pop a little bit sooner than if you positioning, if you only leave the finger right here. So this is just what works for me. So I basically have this kind of finger positioning. And another thing is to, instead of putting the fingers I don't know how to explain this honestly, but instead of just letting the fingers flat straight on the board, I recommend to do a little bit of bend your fingers in this way instead of having them this way, because to me it results easier to have a good heel flip in this way. So this is basically my finger positioning. If you pay attention, when I'm doing heel flips, I don't use the same fingers positioning all the time, because when you get used to the trick, you are able to do it even if you have fingers positioned a bit different. So, but for the first times you start to try this trick, I recommend trying out the position that you feel like it's working out the best. So just try different positioning and check what's best for you. By the way, my recommendation, as I said, is this one. One more to say for the execution. Okay, I will break down the execution of a trick into three parts. The first part is the pop. The second part is the actual trick, so the rotation that you want to have in the air, talking about flip tricks. And the third part is grab and land, so close, you know, basically the trick. So the first part is pop. Now it can look, you know, it may look silly to explain how to pop, because if you are willing to learn heel flip, it means that you already know how to hold it properly. So, of course, that being said, you know how to ollie. I hope so. By the way, pop. So why I say pop? Because usually we tend to focus a lot on the trick we are going to do that we forget to pop. So it comes out something like this, you know? And instead I say focus on the pop first and don't mind about the rotation. So focus only on popping, but thinking like, you know, you have to do that trick, but focus on pop first. Then you can focus on the rotation. After you have managed these two parts, you can go to close the trick. But first, so I say pop and rotation. So for the first time, what you want to do, heel flip. For the first time, focus on doing this, and I recommend focus on doing at least one turn, one complete turn for the fingerboard. So not less than one, maybe more than one be fine, then we will adjust that later. More than one is fine, so if the deck rotates a lot, but focus on doing this. Sorry, not this. You know, just do it and find what's the best way for you to pop and rotate the finger skate, so flip the finger skate in the way you want, okay? So just focus on this. Don't mind about closing the trick, don't mind about grabbing, don't mind. Just focus on this. Because if you obtain more than one rotation, you know, one or more, it is fine. It means you have the basic of that trick. But if you can't even get a complete rotation or you don't do the right movement, like the deck flips away into a total different, you need to start focusing first on the outward rotation when it comes to heel flip, of course, and then you can go to improve in the overall trick. So, pop, rotation. Once you have a solid rotation, not like this, yeah, stuff like this, you see that you are able to rotate. Now you can focus on grabbing and so closing the trick. Because a lot of people say, you know, I can do heel flip, I can do kick flip, I can do this and this. It's cool, of course, but the style of the trick, if you want to have a stylish trick, you need to grab the trick. And so at that moment you can say, I'm landing this kind of trick. Like if you do an heel flip like this is not a closed trick, like, you know, you do the trick and then you try to close it then. What you want to do is grabbing the trick. So when it comes to grab the trick, I don't have that much to say, to be honest. You know, it's all about getting used to it. You do it and do it again and again, so guess what? Practice. A lot of practice. And then you're able, instead of doing a trick like this and then putting your fingers, do it like, you know, completely grabbing it and then closing the trick. So this is basically everything I have to say. If I have to give you some recommendations about heel flip, I can tell you that an important thing could be to first try the trick on a flat, you know, but then you can, to improve your ability to do that kind of trick, you can use a surface so that it becomes a bit harder. So you first try to land the trick on a little bit high surface, then you can add some other height to the surface, like something like this. then you can add another one. Okay, so these are the best exercises to learn properly a trick, basically. Then the ultimate exercise you can do, that if well done, it means that you master the trick, is basically doing the flip on a straight line. So, you know, I have on my desk, for example, this sheet of wood, which is pretty narrow, and I know that I land a trick properly when I'm able to land it, you know, in this part, so within this surface, within this piece of surface. And what I can recommend, so do it in a straight line, because if you are able to do it in a straight line, then it will be easier for you to switch onto doing it to a grind, or doing it to a ledge, doing it to whatever, on other obstacles that are basically harder to use. So landing it in a straight line, you know. And so then you can think about the hardest, of course, could be do it on a rail. So basically this is everything I can tell you about the heel flip. Another useful thing could be trying to heel flip and then manual to master the trick better. So that's it. So Nollie heel flip. Okay, Nollie heel flip is definitely not a basic trick. It's a bit harder than the heel flip, than the regular heel flip. And when it comes to Nollie heel flip, the same goes for the positioning of the fingers. Positioning of the fingers, it's a lot subjective, so it's all about, you know, it's personal, how you feel by putting your fingers this way or another one. So my personal fingers positioning is actually this one, so the same that I used for heel flip in the opposite. Just in this case I have the middle finger a bit, you know, more on the outside, and the index finger the same as I was using for the regular heel flip, so kinda in the middle but a bit more on the inside, so that I can pop easier. Okay, and so I can give you basically more than a simple tutorial tips. I can give you advices about this, because this is all about learning to getting used to this kind of trick, and not that much about technicism, in my opinion. You know, you can even land a nollie heel in this finger positioning, for what I know. So basically, first thing, find your finger positioning, stick to that. If you find out that it's too hard, just switch it or adjust it. Or if it's just hard but it's the right one, like you don't find any other one easier, stick to that one and practice until you can get a little pop and rotation. Now, a thing that usually happens when you start to do Nollie heel flip is you focus so much about the rotation that once again you forget, of course, not literally, but you know, you kind of don't mind about pop. So you do something like this, you just try to, you already are into the heel flip that you don't even think about the pop. Well, I say first focus again on the pop. So pop with that kind of finger positioning. Learn to pop in that way. It doesn't matter about the rotation, pop with that finger positioning. When you're able to pop properly in that finger positioning, then you switch onto the second part of the trick, which is the rotation. So pop, then rotate the deck. Okay? When you're able to rotate the deck and to manage to flip a one complete turn of the deck, okay, then you're ready to grab the deck to close the trick. So this kind of trick, of course, will require twice as the regular heel flip, talking about practice. So you need to practice a lot, daily. You need to do it constantly. You need to put in the hours. If you don't have hours per day, put in as much as you can, but do it daily so that it becomes something that you are used to. And so the third part, grabbing the trick. Well, for this kind of trick, I will say just learn the trick. Never mind about grabbing in the beginning. When you are very used to the trick, that the rotation and the pop are very easy to you, then you can easily grab it. You can easily focus on grabbing it. It is just a matter of muscle memory, like with basically all tricks. So I think I've said everything. I prepared a sheet of paper with things to say, because you know this kind of trick is very tricky. That, and yeah, so that's basically it. Another thing that could help you while learning the trick, while learning to do the trick on a straight line, could be to put boundaries of your straight line. So in the beginning your straight line could be like 20 centimeters of width, then you scale down to you know, a more narrow surface, and you can do it like positioning a pallet between you, so the part of the table where the table ends, and the pallet, so that you see if you are able to do it into this space, you know, between here and here, for example. So I say that we are okay. So just scale a bit down so it becomes all the time more and more narrow. More until you get, you know, well, I say I think 4 or 5 centimeters will be fine for a straight line. You know, that all depends on how good you want to land this trick, but this will come with time, so don't expect to try at first to land this on a straight line. I mean, it's possible, but to have it consistently, you need to practice and practice and practice and practice and practice and practice again and again and again. So this is basically the best advice when it comes to learn a new skill in almost everything. So just don't forget to practice, of course. That's it. This is an art trick. So at the beginning you could say, you know what, why should I try to learn this trick that is so tricky? I don't have fun doing it. Well, this is basically because you don't know how to do it. But if you go over that part of frustration while you're doing stuff like this, okay, then it becomes easier, and then you enjoy your fingerboarding even more because you are able to do more and more tricks. So keep doing practice, and I hope you enjoyed this video. This was a very long tutorial, honestly, but hope it was helpful, and I'll see you in the next one. Keep fingerboarding. Bye, guys.